All right.
I'll put this on.
Yeah. Fellas, what up, man? Welcome back to 10th Man on the Bench podcast. I'm your host, Willis Love, and today we got a good one today. This trending topic's been going on all over social media. Everyone's been making their own personal lists, right? So we got 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, 1990s. Today we're going to focus strictly on the 2010s. So I'm going to bring my guests in. I got 3 a.m. with me, and I also got Doc Holiday here with me as well. So fellas, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing, man?
Yo, we good. Glad we back on the podcast.
Yes, sir. We back on the pod, which is lit. I want to let a lot of you guys know that this list is subjective. So it's for everybody to each their own. You know, this is your list, but you need facts to back it up, right? You can't just be putting any Joe Schmo on the list. I've been seeing a lot of people do that. I've been seeing people put, you know, just random people they like, which is cool, but we got to keep it facts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name the person who list it is, and then I'm going to read the names, and then you guys can agree or disagree, and who would you switch around? Is that cool?
Cool.
Bet. So the first list we're going to start with is Los. My man Los, part of the 10th Man on the Bench group. This is his list. So for the 2010s, at the first pick, he has Kobe Bryant. Second pick, LeBron James. Third pick, Stephen Curry. Fourth pick, Kevin Durant. Fifth pick, Tim Duncan. 6, D Wade. 7, Russell Westbrook. 8, Paul Pierce. 9, Dirk Nowitzki. 10, Kevin Garnett. Does anybody disagree or agree with this list? I'm going to leave it up so you guys can just see it one more time. And yeah, just let me know what you guys feel about this list, man.
The Westbrook one, I don't agree on that list, man. From following Westbrook history through OKC, going to different teams, he led the league. He had 2 spectacular years which he led the league in triple doubles, so he got an MVP. But as far as him carrying a team or pushing a team over the top, I don't see him as a top 10 in that last category. Like you said, like we were talking about earlier, like you could put Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul. It's numerous guys, I'm so sorry to say, that could bump him off that list without a problem, without zero hesitation. And that poor George, he's been good. He made the All-Star team a couple of times, but injuries have really like paused his career where he should be great instead of just good.
Yeah, I can say the same thing too. I would like, if I'm looking at it from a winning aspect, I would probably go LeBron first, only because him and Steph would almost be tied at championship-wise in that era. I believe LeBron won 3 in that era. So did Steph. KD won 2 in that era. I believe also Tim Duncan won 2 in that era too. Dwayne Wade also won 3 in that era. So Dwayne Wade would be high on that list too. Paul Pierce, I would say, would come after Wade. Not even after Wade. He would come after Durant, I would say. And then, no, I would put Dirk over Paul Pierce. Then Paul Pierce and KG to finish off the list. And I would remove Russ, and I would replace him with Ginobili, honestly, because of the winning aspect. Now, don't get me wrong, Russ was, he was dominating and stuff like that. But if we're talking like championship-wise, then I'll probably put Ginobili up there, or Klay Thompson, just because of the fact of winning in that aspect,
Okay. So for me, I agree with the list. I don't think there's anything wrong with this list. Like I said, it's to the eye of the beholder, like it's their list. Paul Paul Pierce for the 2010s is a little crazy for me. He's the only one that's a little crazy because I was more on the back end because we talking about 2010 to 2019. So like that's a little crazy for me. But everybody in Dirk too. Dirk kind of is a little crazy. KG too. You could take him out too. For me. But for everybody else, you know, like I said, to each their own. If this is Carlos' thing, this is what he like. Is what he like. It's subjective. But I do want to make sure we keep it in mind. It is 2010, right? It's not you know, from 2006 to it's literally 2010 to 2019. So the next list we're gonna go with is Luck, because you know I've been trying to get Luck back on the pod, and you know I hope he's good. But if he see this, his list is up next. So let's just take a look. So this is Luck Stockton's top 10 of the 2010s. So at 1 he has Kevin Durant. At 2 he has Carmelo Anthony. At 3 he has Russell Westbrook. At 4 he has Damian Lillard. 5 Stephen Curry. 6 LeBron James at 6. Very interesting. 7 DeMarcus Cousins. 8 Dwight Howard. 9 James Harden. 10 Paul George. Fellas, I'm going to leave the list up there just so you guys can take another look at it. But what do you guys think? Is this list, is it valid or is he capping? What do you guys think?
There's a lot of cap on this list. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. You know, the whole Kevin Durant situation being number 1, it is very debatable, even though like because of what he did, again, the MVPs, the scoring, he did win the championship. So debatable he can be at number 1. But again, from 2010 to 2019, it was a LeBron's league, and it still is LeBron's league. So it's always going to be LeBron at number 1. Sorry. Number 2, Carmelo Anthony. As much as I do love Melo, I can't put him up here because of his displacement in the league towards the end of the 2010s, you know? I mean, even though he has a winning career, you know what I'm saying, scoring titles and all of this and that and the third, it's just those 3 pivotal years that he wasn't in the league was something that kind of like messed him up. You know what I'm saying? Like it could have put him. I mean, he's in it regardless, but I wouldn't put him this high on the list. So that's the reason for that. Russ, same situation as we spoke last time. Dame, I wouldn't put Dame that high either, to be honest with you. Oh, especially not over Steph. Like, yeah, not over Steph. And I love Dame too, but I wouldn't put him over Steph. DeMarcus Cousins, I wouldn't put DeMarcus Cousins on the list only because DeMarcus Cousins, he didn't really have a winning career for real. Like he had a losing career up until he left Sacramento, and he started winning, but then injuries hit him. Dwight Howard, he had a great career, but again, injuries hit him too. James Harden, if we talk about winning, James Harden is a winner, but also too, you know, injuries hit him, and then the game changed on him. So a lot of that is the same thing. So a lot of his list is really about players that were great but had problems, except for like LeBron and Curry. And then Paul George, same situation. Like he's declining as he gets older because of the injuries he had, and like he's just more efficient now as a playmaker. So I wouldn't. Yeah, to me, Paul George right now, he wouldn't be the needle push. Like he's not that for me now right now at this point.
Meaning in 2010 to 2019, you saying?
Yeah,
like yeah, okay.
Yeah, because like, I mean, he had that one season to where he was like 3rd on the MVP list, only because Russ dialed back on his scoring and you know upped his assists even more to make him, you know, stand out more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after that, you know, that gave Paul George the glitz and glamour again. Like it made him look good again. You know what I'm saying? So wherever he went, everybody was expecting him to be Paul George of OKC, Indiana, but it didn't happen like that because he never had another point guard like Westbrook again. So it's kind of, I think, like, I don't know, with Paul George game today, it's a little different. So he dominated, but then he didn't dominate for real. You know what I'm saying? He dominated at his position in that time. But like now, yeah, well, during the So I mean, I like Lock. I like Luck lineup, but I'm a little biased towards it too. So I mean,
Doc, what you think, Doc? What you got for his lineup?
First of all, it's no way in the world you look at this list and you got Dwight Howard so low. With his personal accolades, he won a championship late in his career, but his personal accolades would knock DeMarcus Cousins way off this list. Damian Lillard, honor jokes aside, as much as a great scorer Dame is, he never pushed his team over the top. So I will remove him. Paul George, one great year in Indiana, got him a great contract. One great year in OKC, got him a great contract. Got hurt, got to the Clippers. He is the king of great contracts and getting injured and having surgery and missing half his career. So I wouldn't even put him on the list. All jokes aside. Dwight Howard don't get a lot of respect. Like, a lot of people do not give him enough respect. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I will put LeBron up higher on this list than Melo, Westbrook, Dame Lillard. Steph Curry changed the game, won more chips. He revolutionized scoring in the NBA. You're shooting from everywhere. Kevin Durant been a winner since Seattle. That's what everybody keep forgetting. The guy been dominant, a scorer since Seattle. He's been playing and killing people since Seattle. It just so happens he won championships with help, which you could also say about LeBron James, because that will be another argument later on down the line. If LeBron would have never went to Miami, would he have won a championship before Cleveland? You don't know. But you always have to put the asterisk between him and Kevin Durant. That's what everybody keep forgetting, those little tidbits. Them guys are great individual players. Hands down, statues, everything. But if they would have won without the help, Kevin Durant, you were on the team with the greatest shooter alive. LeBron, you got Flash, you got Chris Bosh, who was like a 6-time All-Star, 20% points a scorer a night. This guy was the forgotten piece in their championship era in Miami that nobody even mentions. They mentioned the Ray Allen shot. They mentioned the LeBron block in Miami, the Dwayne Wade LeBron alley-oop. Y'all forgetting Chris Bosh numbers. 22, 11, 2 blocks a game. Y'all cannot forget that guy. But nobody talks about Bosh. Bosh not on this list ahead of DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins doesn't make no list to me, period. Because he had great subpar years. He didn't have a great career in the NBA. Everybody has to. Boogie was good, but he wasn't great. Paul George, injury prone. Eliminate him. Melo comes down off that list a little bit further. And I love Melo, just like Rome said. I love Melo too. But he has to come down off that list. Some people could get pushed up, and some people could get completely eliminated from that list altogether.
Yeah, I agree. I think Luck's list to me is based off the eye test, the eye candy game, right? Like the pretty game. Everybody who got a pretty game, who got the step back between the legs, all the dribble moves, shooting from the logo. But that's just my opinion. And like I said, it's his list. It's subjective. And we're going to move right along because I'm not going to pick apart nobody's list like that. But I'm just saying it's completely subjective. So the next one we're going to go with is we're going to do devs, because I don't think we did devs yet. So we're going to do devs. So Dev, if you locked in on the live, your list is up next. So this is Devoran's top 10 2010. So at 1, he has Kobe Bryant. At 2, he has LeBron James. At 3, he has Kevin Durant. At 4, he has Stephen Curry. At 5, he has Kawhi Leonard. 6, he has James Harden. 7, he has Russell Westbrook. 8, he has Dwayne Wade. 9, Tim Duncan. 10, Giannis. Giannis cracked his top 10. So I'll leave the list up here for everybody on the live. You can read the list. Comment on the live. Let me know in the chat if you guys agree with this list or not. This is for the 2010s decade, from 2010 to 2019. So, guys, Rome, I'm going to let you chime in first, 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Is this list valid or is it not valid?
I would say this list is like somewhat valid. Because one, Kobe was dominating for a minute. I mean, he may have not won so many championships, and at that, give me 1 second. Hold on, Mason. I'm doing something right now. Popcorn?
Right? So his son asking for popcorn right now on the live. He like, Dad, I'm hungry. I don't care about this top 10, bro.
Go ahead.
I don't care. Let me get some popcorn.
I mean, hey, this is dad life for me, right? So, excuse me. So, anyways, Kobe at number one for Devon. I mean, I seen that coming a mile away, so I get that. So, from a standpoint of Kobe being his number one for accolade reasons, why? All right, I understand that. Number two for LeBron, again for accolades, championships, understood that too. Kevin Durant, I felt like it's the same situation. So from Kevin Durant down to Kawhi, I do understand why he chose those as his top five. Again, now for me, I would put 6 Dwayne Wade. No, I wouldn't. I would put Tim Duncan at 6, Dwayne Wade at 7, Harden, Westbrook, and me personally, I wouldn't put Giannis on the list. Only because Giannis just got it cracking after like 2011, 2012. Like we really was like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Like he's a problem. Like he's a problem. And then it's like even though still at the 2016 to 2019, LeBron dominated Giannis. Like Giannis couldn't get past LeBron for a minute, because he just didn't know how to physically match up against LeBron until obviously Father Time started ticking on LeBron's behalf, and then Giannis became a workhorse and was able to now best LeBron. But I would say no for Giannis because he hasn't done anything in that time to be on this list, to be like, part of that decade and be like, yo, you was great in that decade. Like, nah, like you just had started getting your feet wet. But everybody else on here, they contributed to the game with either MVP or some type of scoring or whatever, and championships. So like the only three champions, the only ones that's not champions on this list would be Russ, Harden, and Giannis at the time. And yeah, so yeah, I like the list or for accolades, but if we're talking championships and wins, Giannis definitely is not supposed to be on this list.
Well, Doc, let me know, Doc. So what you think about this list? And I'm gonna leave the list up so you can pick it apart.
With me, I'm a Giannis fan, but I would agree Giannis could come off this list. No disrespect to him. And once again, Westbrook could come off this list. Once again, I'm going to mention 2 dark horses that nobody's talked about on their list. And their accolades, playoff performances, and win percentages is better than a lot of these guys on this list. The first one, and I'm not being biased, Tony Parker's not on none of these lists. Because, and I don't understand why, he's a finals MVP, 3-time champion, 4-time champion. They led the league in scoring percentages, not scoring, percentages in the paint at 69 to 70% as a point guard in the lane. International MVP, international champion, all-star. He's not talked about. Chris Paul was the second coming of Magic, Jason Kidd, all of them together before the injuries creeped up to him. But he's not mentioned on none of these lists. Westbrook was mentioned on this list only because of his 2 years of leading the league in triple doubles. That's the only thing. You take away that. James Harden, you can take James Harden away. You put him on a team just like Kevin Love in the early 2000s. When you're the only man on the team that could score all the points, but you are not pushing your team over the top, and you're leading the league in scoring. You're the MVP. Take a page out of Joel Embiid's book. He's dominant, but what has he done to push his team over the top? And that's what we all talked about that in this with the athletes. Who is pushing their teams over the top to make them great? I love Giannis. I love him to death. But like you said, later on in his career, early on, he was getting bullied, pushed around. He hit the gym. Now all of a sudden, like you said, time waits for no man. Now I'm getting bigger. LeBron's getting older. Paul Pierce is getting older. Melo getting older. Now I'm going to run through them. Real simple mathematics. Russell Westbrook is a good player. I'm not even calling him great. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not calling him a great player because you have done nothing to put your team over the top. Harden, you did nothing to put your team over the top. Nothing whatsoever. You could put Kyrie Irving ahead of Westbrook. You could put him over Westbrook. Westbrook does not deserve to be on none of these lists. And you can have, besides those 2 years, like we said, their stats show what he's done to make him belong on this list. Tim Duncan is going to always make this list because name a player on these lists that made the playoffs 20 years in a row. 5 championships. Nobody has that consistency like San Antonio. But once again, Ginobili is not mentioned. Tony Parker is not mentioned. But these guys killed and helped their teams.
Okay, so my only issue with this list for me is Giannis. That's it. I agree with both of y'all. Giannis just did not do enough to even make this list. He started dominating more on the back end of the decade, right? So like the 2019, 18, 2020 is when Giannis really started to come into his own. Like when he started to, dominate. He started getting Defensive Player of the Year. He was in the MVP conversation. So I think that Giannis is a little like crazy for me, but it's his list. I'm not going to pick apart nobody's list like that. That's not me. But we're going to move on to the next list, and we're going to do 3 a.m.'s list. And since we got him on live, he can explain why he chose this list the way he did. So 3 a.m. is on you, baby. I'm going to let you hit it off. And we're going to put your list up on the screen, and you could just explain why you picked the order, why you chose these people. And we'll see if we agree or disagree, man.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I went off of the list off of winning and accolades, right? And I also kind of like thought about it in the sense of a timeline. So that's why for the sore thumb on the list, Kobe is at 10. So I'm just knock that out the park right now before anybody else have a discussion for why I put Kobe so low. Just get me out. So reason why I put LeBron as 1, obviously he's dominated, right? Kevin Durant, just how we spoke about, he dominated. Curry at his position dominated. So did Kyrie. Kyrie dominated, and then once he teamed up with LeBron, his game opened up even more, which got him a ring. Klay Thompson is the sleeping giant on my list because, again, nobody's not going to give him the glory because of his running mate at the time was Steph, right? But yet, you still won 3 rings with him. You know what I'm saying? Kawhi also too. Kawhi Leonard, he just was a problem, and yet he got 2 rings under the LeBron ring era. You know what I'm saying? So that right there says a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say for Curry and Klay, they got 3 rings under the LeBron era, and Kawhi got 2. So right there just lets you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so did Kevin Durant. So like that just lets you know like these are serious individuals on this list. Now, for James Harden, well, this is why I speak for accolades again, for what he did for scoring wise, right? I kind of tried to like half my list versus it just trying to be just straight about just championships. James Harden, number 1, scoring, MVPs, things of that nature. Same thing for Russ. Now, Anthony Davis, his dominance in the game, once he came into the game, it was kind of a problem for a lot of people at his position because, he can do so much on the floor as a 4/5, but also could play like a 1 at his height. You know what I'm saying? He can handle the ball like a 1, and he could like shoot. He could rebound. He could do everything. He could defend everything. And then the Mamba, that just ties up to my list to where it was the end of an era for him because I believe his last championship was 2009. And then from there, he still was good, but he just didn't have the supporting cast that he was used to. You know what I'm saying? He was walking into a new era of NBA to where it was a lot of people that wasn't built from the same cloth as him. And made it, I guess right there you could say it made it harder for him to really get the supporting cast members he needed. You know what I'm saying? He needed like rough cut, edged players to be around him. And in 2009, 2010, it was a switch. Like it was a change of the guard. Everybody came in and wanted to be flashy and, you know, do their own thing and like have their personalities and like kind of wear their hearts on their sleeve just a little bit, but still kind of be tough. But Kobe Bryant, he was more on some, man, I'm outside, war ready, let's go, hard hats on, we outside. And, you know, he didn't have that support after 2009 when he won his last championships against Boston. So, yeah, I think that just ties up to for the fact that Kobe did have he ended off his career winning. So that's why I ended my list that way.
Well, I will say I do like your list. Klay Thompson is a sleeping giant on this list. And shout out to you putting Kyrie Irving on here. I mean, I was struggling to put him on mine, but I like Kyrie and Klay on here. And I think for the 2010s decade, this list makes sense for me, in my opinion. Doc, what you feeling on this, man?
Because he don't like the Spurs, so we gonna have some problems with this list.
I put Kawhi up there.
I technically will put Kawhi above Klay because of his accolades. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2 times MVP. You have to put him above that. And he's a better all-around player than Klay Thompson. Klay is a better shooter, but overall, Kawhi is a better dominant player than Klay. I agree with his list. His list is a great list. But I have an open argument, and the key word is open. Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard.
You know,
win percentage, Dwight has the edge. Accolades, Dwight has the edge. And the fact that they picked Anthony Davis over Dwight Howard and left him off the 75 greatest players list was atrocious. And it was a travesty that he wasn't recognized. I don't care what he did with the Lakers. Dwight Howard and Orlando Magic could not be stopped. 30-plus points, a scoring title, 3-time rebounding champion, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Olympic gold medalist, and a champion. But they talk about him like he didn't dominate in the East Coast because they were so hell-bent on Shaq leaving Orlando. That's one of the biggest slaps in the face in the NBA about Dwight Howard. I agree with your list a lot. I definitely agree with your list. Your list is a great list. Like I said, Kawhi will be above Klay to me because he's a better all-around player than Klay Thompson. Then Dwight, that Anthony Davis, I could argue all day because when he was first drafted, they didn't even make the playoffs.
What would you say? What would you say to the people who say that Dwight Howard only dominated from 2004 to 2010? What would you say about that?
I would say once again, if that's the same case you could say about Shaq before he went to all them teams. He only dominated from this era to that. Once he started moving around, but even when he went to Houston, Dwight Howard was a force. He was a major force in Houston. They made the playoffs. He still was killing them. Only time his downfall was when he went to Lakers. Remember, David Stearns, what everybody keep forgetting, vetoed the Chris Paul trade. That would have put Chris Paul with Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant. They stopped that trade altogether. That was a prime Chris Paul. They would have put him with the Lakers. And there's no telling what would have happened. Just like injuries. There's no telling what would have happened with a player if they would have never gotten hurt.
Now, that was Mark Cuban that stopped that trade.
No, it was David Stern because he was part owner at the time.
Mark Cuban was the one that did the audit, and he found that it was more money left on the table. So at that time, the Lakers could have signed 5 Supermax players at that time. So, like, if they would have been able to get, obviously, Keep Kobe, get Chris Paul and Dwight Howard, and I believe they paid for who was still there. What, Bynum was still there, right? Something like that. Or was it Powell? I can't hear you, bro.
You good, Doc. You good.
If you look at the history, it wasn't Mark Cuban. It was David Stern, because he had a partial percentage in ownership. He vetoed the trade. It was David Stern, because everything matched on paper, going across the board. Bynum was getting moved. Everybody was getting moved to certain pieces, and it matched. David Stern. Remember we always argue about the podcast about super teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a difference when a certain owner. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. It's just like in Dallas in football. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, controls the overall say-so, even though he's the owner, and he vetoes the president of football. It has to go through Texas to get approved. David Stern had the idea on this. Everything matched. That's why I'm trying to tell you. All the numbers matched. David Stern did not want them to build that super team in LA because it was going to hurt him, because he had percentages in another team that nobody failed to mention until he passed away. Once he passed away, everybody knows once you leave a team, retire, die, all your secrets come out. That's why David Stern was one of the most hated people in the era in that league. He didn't create like he wanted to create. He did what he wanted to do. Because you could go all the way back, not to throw off y'all key, the Malice in the Palace. He suspended everybody without getting a fair shake to everybody. He just said the hell with it. Everybody's getting suspended. I don't care who says what it is. He was a dictator, and it worked to his thing. But like I said, 3 a.m., your list is great. My only argument is Anthony Davis and move Kawhi above Clay. I wouldn't change your list besides those two aspects, because those two will be predictable open arguments. If you put them head to head, Anthony Davis compared to Dwight Howard, it's an open forum.
Well, so Doc is saying basically he wouldn't take nobody off. He's just sliding people up and down, basically.
Yeah.
So Doc, let's go to your list, Doc, and I want you to explain. I want you to explain why you chose your list the way you did. You got the floor. I'm gonna put your list up on the screen. I'm gonna read your list for you, and then you explain. So for Doc Holliday's list, he got Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, Chris Bosh, Derrick Rose, and Dirk Nowitzki. Doc, it's on you. Why did you set up this list this way for the 2010s?
All right. Kevin Durant, I put him up there because the scoring titles, All-Star games, the 2 championships, his consistent numbers across the board. He's the most lethal scorer in the game right now. And you can't block his shot. You can't stop him. Even though they was calling Kawhi the KD stopper, you couldn't stop him. LeBron James, I don't like LeBron. I'm not a LeBron fan. But you got to respect the all-around game. He's the guy right now. Kobe is Kobe. Like I said, consistency. You have to put him up there because of the years y'all asked about. These guys were still winning. Their teams were still in the playoffs. He still kept his team in the running. Same thing with Tim Duncan behind him. Carmelo, I put in there, but I wanted to switch that around, and I do apologize. I had to put Dwayne Wade ahead of him. You understand what I'm saying? Carmelo was carrying teams as best as he could, but once again, he couldn't get no help. Dwayne Wade, who's to say he would have won without Shaq in him there? But he showed you, once again, this is what we were talking about before, why he's an all-star. Why is he a superstar? Because he took over the finals and dominated the finals. Chris Paul was the next coming of a real point guard, not a shooting guard playing point guard, not a point guard playing shooting guard, point guard. Chris Paul was a point guard, not even a point guard. He was a point guard. Okay, Chris Bosh, once again, underrated all-star, underrated numbers. Nobody even give this man his props. If he didn't have the problems, he would have still been in the league. That's what stopped him short. Derrick Rose, I put on this list at the bottom for the simple fact of his potential. Not because he was dominant that one all-star year. his potential to be great was already marketable. It was already there. Dirk Nowitzki, I put him there for nostalgia out of respect because nobody ever mentioned how dominant this man was with the one-legged fadeaway. And once again, another one, just like Dwayne Wade in the finals, took that opportunity to push his team through. We're not losing to these people. I don't care who it is. One leg, broken leg, arm, shoulder. We're going to win this game. So my list is definitely arguable and definitely debatable. I give it that. But like I said, I put my list together due to win percentages and consistency.
So I wouldn't change your list neither. I think your list is valid. Again, Chris Bosh, another dark horse. Like you said, he does not get the respect he deserved. He was an incredible player. He was an all-star all those years. He helped Miami, obviously being the third option, but he could have easily been the second option if he wanted to be. And the fact that he got injured, it really did put a toll on his body and his NBA career. So it did leave a kind of a stain on his legacy, but he's a dark horse too. And again, Derrick Rose impact for the first couple of years was insane. Like literally insane. So I would keep him on there as well. 3AM, what you got, man? What you think?
I wouldn't change too much either, honestly. Like, down from Kevin Durant to Dwayne Wade, yeah, that I believe in that too. I would, like you said, I would switch Melo and Wade around, just off of legacy and accolade reasons. Chris Paul and Chris Bosh for sure. I would keep there. I'm kind of torn with Derrick Rose. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Derrick Rose and I love Dirk too. But like, someone I probably would slide for Derrick Rose. I was thinking only because they had an impact on the game too, but just was on a terrible team. LaMarcus Aldridge, I was thinking about. But to swap out for Derrick Rose, probably not. Maybe not even Dirk either. Yeah. So you know what? I wouldn't change it. I mean, yeah, if I had an honorable mention, it would be LA. But for the most part, yeah, this is a solid list. Especially going off of, like you said, accolades and winning percentages from that. Because again, these are winning basketball players right here. Like they, not for nothing, whether they was on a bad team or not, like their main objective was to win. You know what I'm saying? And then some guys had injury problems, and some guys just never got past that hilltop. You know what I'm saying? And Chris Paul being one. You know what I'm saying? He never got he got to the finals, but he didn't get the gold. You know what I'm saying? Derrick Rose, he never got past the second round. You know what I'm saying? So that part, you know what I'm saying? And Melo too, you know what I'm saying? And but like I said, I think off this list is pretty solid for the 2010s for sure, because these are the people we want and turned our TV on to be like, yo, he playing tonight. So yeah, definitely, I'm jacking this list.
I'm jacking this list too. I got my little one with me right now. She's locked in on the podcast too. But I will say, for me, like for my list, I'm gonna just go through it really quickly. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Stephen Curry, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, James Harden, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard. Do you guys have any issues with my list?
Not really. Honestly, like LeBron being number one, obviously is the same thing. Kevin Durant, Kobe, Steph, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade. I'd switch Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade again just because of winning. James Harden, I'd switch with Russ. No, I wouldn't. I'd switch Anthony Davis with Russ. No, I'd switch Anthony Davis with Kawhi. I would switch Anthony Davis with Kawhi. And and then that'd be I think this is a really solid list. Also, just again off of the last few times we said, like these are players that either won championships on really good teams or impacted their teams winning in ways that we haven't seen before at that time in that era. So for sure, this is a solid list.
Like I said, it's a solid list. It's at 3 a.m. There's no way in the world you put Anthony Davis over Kawhi Leonard. I'm just sorry to tell you that. Anthony Davis is not on none of my lists when it comes to big men. I'm so sorry. And that's because me from, like we was talking about the other day, when we was naming like dominant big men, forwards, but we're in an era where you got to play all positions now, so it's no really power forward. It's just an era where nobody plays positions. Westbrook could come off. I think he could just come off a list, and he could be replaced by better all around players. You understand? Like I said, his 2 years, he's been in the league, almost 14 years almost?
Yeah, 15.
15. Now you take away the 2 years from the triple doubles. His assist to turnover ratio is terrible. His shot selection, terrible. They was calling him Iverson 2.0. But Iverson never was getting to the basket and just missing layups. He was going to the hole. Iverson wasn't just shooting jump shots, he was making them. Westbrook, they was calling him Westbrick, for almost 3 years running, because you could leave him open all game and turn your back and get ready to go down court because you knew he was going to miss. That's my argument. Anthony Davis, like I said, it'll always be an open argument between me with Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard. Yeah. It will always be an argument with me with them two guys. Because like I said, Anthony Davis wasn't winning. Dwight Howard wasn't winning. Anthony Davis hasn't won no accolades on the side. Dwight Howard has plenty of accolades on the side that when he go for his Hall of Fame, they're going to mention that. Anthony Davis, they're going to mention his eyebrow. They're going to mention Street Clothes. They're going to mention him when he always got hurt. Remember, his nickname is Street Clothes because he had to play the full season yet.
Yeah.
So it's a legit argument. Like a lot of them, like I say, Willis Love list is super, super valid. Except for those two guys, I can always open an argument about because they have nothing, no two legs to stand on. And Kawhi can move up a little bit. I'm shocked Dwayne Wade. I'm just shocked that Dwayne Wade wasn't your number one. Just to be, not
so,
to be
so let me just clarify my list. So honest, check. So honestly, I wouldn't put So I would move Dwayne Wade above Chris Paul. That was just me rushing to get the graphics done. So the reason I'm gonna just give y'all the reason why my list is the way it is. LeBron is number one, obviously because 8 straight finals, 3-time NBA champion, 2012, 2013, 2016, down 3-1, beat 73-9 team. He dominated the era. He made all NBA all years of the era. He swept that, and he swept the All-Star all selection. So he gets number one automatically. He just gets one. For me, right, it was a toss-up between Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant for 2. But the reason why I put Durant is because, like I said earlier before, Kobe Bryant retired midway through the decade and he was injured halfway through the decade. So he didn't really get to really play as like Kobe, like, because he was hurt. But the reason why I gave Kobe 3 is because that 5th championship really holds weight. A lot of people don't reach 5 that are superstars, and him getting 5 without Shaq and beating, Boston, that's tough. That is tough. So I love that for Kobe. That's why he got 3. Kevin Durant got 2 because obviously he left from OKC. He went to Golden State, and not only did he beat LeBron and the boys, but he was the best player in those series. LeBron led all statistical categories, but he was the best player. So for me, Steph Curry, obviously he changed the game, unanimous MVP. He was Kevin Durant's running mate. He beat LeBron without KD in that decade, and with KD in that decade. So that's why Steph Curry gets 4. Dwayne Wade is supposed to be 5. So D-Wade gets 5 because obviously he has 2 titles in that decade. He still averaged 20 points a game. He still went to the All-Star game every year, and he led his team in all categories. That's why he gets 5. Chris Paul is the point guard. We all know this. So when it comes to the younger cats, James Harden explosion on offense was ridiculous during this decade. I'm talking about multiple 30, 40, 50-point games, getting to the Western Conference Finals, Obviously, they couldn't get over the hump of the Warriors, but they were getting there. And James Harden felt like he was like Superman at one point. Anthony Davis, from a dominant standpoint of like a talent, he gets it because of his two-way, right? He's 6-time All-Star in this decade. He had limited playoff success, but he's a top-tier player on both sides of the court, which is why he gets that nod from me. Russell Westbrook, despite what people may say about him, Westbrook, he averaged a triple-double 3 seasons straight. He was a season MVP. He led the league in scoring when Durant left. Then when Paul George got there, he led the league in assists, and he dialed back his scoring. Then when they both left, he led the league in scoring again. So he has to get that nod from me. And Kawhi Leonard, the reason why Kawhi is 10 is because he didn't turn into a superstar until the midway of the decade. Because when they beat the Heat 2014, 2015, or 2014, 15, he got MVP for playing defense on LeBron, but he didn't have MVP numbers. So when he ascended his offensive game later in that decade, that's why he made the list, because he got 2 titles, he got 2 finals MVPs, and he has a defensive player of the year in there. So that's why I chose the way I chose. Like I said, it's subjective, but I did go off for accolades and facts for mine. But like I said, the typo is Chris Paul and D-Wade. D-Wade is 5 on my list. I'm not going to be unrealistic and biased and put him 1. I can't put him 1 because just the facts are there. The stats are there. So I just can't do it. And that's why I chose the list the way that I chose the list. And again, like, everybody list to me was super cool, super valid. And they had like some interesting picks, and they was putting people in a certain place I wouldn't have put them. But, that's different perspective, So the next one I want to see who we think is going to dominate this decade, right? With the current players now, who we think is going to come in and dominate, or who's here now is going to dominate the decade. So that's the next one I want to do. How you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I'm for it, for sure.
Oh, I'm for it. Definitely for that one. Definitely.
Well, I want to say thank you to everybody who joined the podcast today. I was excited to do this subject. I've seen everybody doing it around social media, and I just wanted us to chime in because I feel like we missed a lot of things on, so because we got a lot of things going on, but I just felt like we had to hit this on the head. So Doc Holiday, 3 a.m. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody on the live, make sure you follow, subscribe, and like. And follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and make sure you keep it right here on 10th Man on the Bench podcast. And thank you guys for supporting the TikTok channel and growing the subscribers. It's great. It's amazing. Viewership is up, and we're going to keep this thing going, man. Y'all have a good day. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.
Later.